March 31, 1919, McGill Daily, Montreal, Canada. Topic to be Modern Psychic Tendencies. Paper will be read at meeting of Philosophical Society Wednesday. The last meeting of the Philosophical Society of McGill University for the present term will be held in Strathcona Hall on Wednesday evening, April 2nd. Paper on Modern Psychic Tendencies will be read by L. A. Sperber, Arts 21. This subject has received very much attention of late due to the claims of Christian Science and Spiritualism. The recent war has produced a worldwide belief in spiritualism, particularly in England, where it really originated. Sir Oliver Lodge and Sir Conan Doyle have come very much to the fore of late in claiming that they have received communications from their dead sons. Sir Oliver Lodge, the noted physicist, embodied the results of his investigations and communications with his dead son Raymond, who was killed at the Battle of Hoga in 1916 in a book called Raymond. The fact that 30,000 copies of this voluminous book have been sold is sufficient evidence of the great interest with which this book is being received all over the world. Sir Conan Doyle, famous as the creator of Sherlock Holmes, has written The New Revelation, in which he states his positive belief that we resume life again in another world after we have died. The subject, as will be perceived, is of a vitally interesting character, and the paper will undoubtedly produce much discussion because of the conflicting views held on this question. The executive of the Society extend a cordial invitation to students of all faculties and the RVC and graduates to be present at this meeting. February 5th, 1921, Berkeley Daily Gazette, Berkeley, California. Experiences and Psychic Research Told by Keeler. Personal experiments in hypnotism, when the subject was given the suggestion of leaving the body and going beyond the flesh, crystal gazing, or self-induced hypnotism, and the discovery of many fraudulent methods employed by so-called mediums, were told last evening by Charles Keeler in the second soiree in the series given at Hotel White Cotton. The talk was on the evidences for a belief in personal survival after death. Paralleling the recent case of the Stanford student who, through hypnotism, was translated to the beyond, Keeler read from a manuscript the description of the hereafter given by a local woman who was hypnotized with the suggestion that her soul left her body. This experiment he conducted a number of years ago. A similar experiment related was crystal gazing by a group of 5 Berkeleyans a number of years ago, when one member of the party gave a vivid description of a train wreck in the mountains. Her words were written down by a member of the party as she uttered them, and were shown to the audience last evening, with a clipping from a San Francisco paper the following morning, which gave an identical description of a train wreck in the southern part of the state, which occurred at 8:30 o'clock the previous evening. That the subject of psychic research was one not to be dabbled in by amateurs was declared by the speaker. This subject should be studied under scientific precaution, said Keeler. Psychologists with proper training should take up the study until they discover the truth. Keeler then told of the investigations of many of the world-famous scientists along other lines, who had turned their attention later to psychic research, including Sir Oliver Lodge, William Crookes, Alfred Russel Wallace, and Dr. Elliot Cousis, the greatest authority on birds in America and author of the scientific part of the Century Dictionary, and Professor James Hislop, professor of psychology and logic at Columbia University. The scientists who have studied deeply in this subject declare that death is so natural that the dead do not know they are dead, said Keeler. They awaken as from a sleep with different bodies, and life goes on unbroken. They are confused at first and have to be told by their friends what has happened. Evidence has been found which leads scientists to believe that it may be possible for the living and the dead to communicate sometimes. The fact of the survival of the memory has also been established. The illusions and methods to deceive the public by fake hypnotists and spiritualists discovered in his investigation were described by the speaker. There is a large amount of fraud, and one must understand the psychology of fraud, he said. September 17, 1925, the Sydney Morning Herald, Sydney, Australia. Spiritualism, World Catastrophe Foretold. London, September 15. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, on his return from the Spiritualist Congress of Paris, said that he had not made any plans for future work. My guide, he said, has warned me to hold myself in readiness for a great event of catastrophic nature that is overtaking the world. Lady Conan Doyle has received messages from the other side, foretelling a world catastrophe. I get all my spiritualistic messages from my wife, who receives them from my guide and passes them on to me. I have been getting similar messages for a long time. Each one indicates the near approach of confirmation of messages received through 60 mediums throughout the world. July 14, 1930, Southeast Missourian, Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Widow of Conan Doyle says she got message from dead novelist. By the Associated Press. London, July 14. The widow of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was heartened today by what she accepted as a spirit message from her husband who died last week. A medium, Mrs. Estelle Roberts, claimed to have received the message after a public memorial service at Albert Hall had ended with 50 or more of the audience of 10,000 walking out in protest at 5 alleged spirit messages from other persons long dead and gone. The medium walked across the platform to Lady Doyle and said, "I have a message from Sir Arthur. Sir Arthur told me that one of you went into the hut, a building on the Doyle estate at Windlesham, Sussex, where he was buried Friday, this morning. Is that correct?" "Why, yes," Lady Doyle answered, "I did." "The message," continued the medium, "is this: tell Mary." At this point, the pealing of the pipe organ to overcome the noise of persons walking out drowned out her words. Lady Doyle declined to say what the remainder of the message was, merely explaining, "I can't. It's precious and sacred. I am perfectly convinced the message is from my husband. I am sure of that, and I am sure that he has been here with us, as I am sure that I am speaking to you. It is a happy message, one that is cheering and encouraging." Mary is the name of Sir Arthur's eldest daughter, by his first marriage. She was seated 2 chairs away from the empty chair reserved at the service for the spirit of the novelist. July 29, 1930, Gettysburg Times, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Lady Doyle gets picture of spirit of dead writer. London, July 29, AP. Lady Doyle, widow of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, said Monday that Sir Arthur had established definite communication with his family through the medium of a psychic photograph. She told the Daily Herald that the Reverend Charles L. Tweedale, vicar of Weston, Yorkshire, and an investigator of psychic phenomena, sat for the photograph. Sir Arthur's picture, Lady Doyle said, is superimposed upon a photograph of Tweedale. The picture was made by a professional photographer, but the plate was developed and printed solely by Tweedale. Furthermore, said Lady Doyle, Peter Powell of Chester received through the spirit guide a message from Sir Arthur about a sealed envelope, which Sir Arthur left with Lady Conan Doyle. She said that there is such an envelope, but that it can only be opened when Sir Arthur directs her to open it and tells her in advance what it contains. She asserts that the family already has had several marvelous psychic experiences, and that there has been much evidence of communication from Sir Arthur.